as a viewer, it's really important, instead of trying to make other people make the videos you want, if nobody's making them, you can make them yourself, and you can make them well.
But, I mean, the optimist would say, well, I mean, it's a new take. Everyone on DeviantArt does it, make their own OCs and interpretations, so why not Lost Word?
You really have to set realistic goals, so I think researching more never hurts, but I think researching too much can hurt. You definitely want to find a balance for the kind of video you want to make.
How I think about it is just think of something that you like and just keep going down the rabbit hole.
I think YouTubers should not take criticism from YouTube comments. That might be a hot take, but there are so many comments that you will get from so many people that you have no idea what their credentials are. You don't know what skills they have, what knowledge they have, why you should listen to them in the first place. Hello and welcome to the 11th edition of the Hifuu Community Club. On this show, we bring on the talented hands and minds of the Touhou community to talk about some of their greatest works. Calling in for the month of November is the YouTube creator Suwawako. Would you like to go and introduce yourself and your creative works?
Hey, it's me, Suwawako. Okay, so... Oh no. So, you know me, I'm the guy who made those YouTube videos about random Touhou stuff, that one about Touhou Con, maybe that Koichi one that one time. I make Touhou YouTube videos. You know me.
Thanks for coming on the show then.
You're welcome.
So nearly 2 years ago, you started making original Touhou videos, starting with a video titled The Touhou Iceberg. Tell us a little bit about this flagship video, how'd you research it, and what were some of the challenges you faced while producing it?
Oh, we're going real back. Okay, so I think I made it back in 2020, if I am right. So during that time, I was like, So back in 2020, I decided that, you know what? I wanted to do this whole YouTube thing seriously. So I posted random videos until we hit December. And during December, the whole Christmas month. So I was like, hey, you know what? Why not make a little gift for my less than 100 subscriber audience at the time? So I was like, what's something that was popular at the time? And then, icebergs. I remember when the whole iceberg trend was happening. So I was like, you know what? That's a good way to get attention. Just do an iceberg. And the next thing was, what's something I like? And I was like, Touhou. I kind of like that, right? So my next thing was, I had to, I think I was thinking about making my own iceberg, but I'm a little lazy. So I just found one online and then, bam, just take it. So I did some research and just made the iceberg. Or I did the research for the various points on the iceberg. And, production it came out and bam, it kind of worked and getting me attention. Looking back, it was like, that video had TF2 gameplay while talking about Touhou, and there were many points on the iceberg that were just there for jokes. And I think it's quite obvious, but you made your iceberg, right?
I did, indeed.
Yes. And okay, so I remember when your iceberg came out and it actually had Touhou gameplay in the background, so that was a good start. And I was like, dang, maybe my iceberg, it worked. And what came next? So I don't know what to say, but I remember part of the reception and like just checking the whole comment section. I was like, dang, that's a lot.
It definitely got a pretty big viewership, and it does make sense. I think you're right on the money with guessing that this would be a pretty big production. It's a large video to make. There's a lot of information on an iceberg, a lot of things to research, a lot of things to talk about, and following a trend at the time and adapting it for a new audience is a really great way to grow a channel. For instance, like you said, the iceberg trend, which goes back to, as far as I know, to the Mario 64 iceberg. Um, and that sort of video started to crop up for all different other kinds of communities, and people would drop out a video for their specific community or their specific franchise, and it would garner an incredible amount of views because people are really interested to learn more about the franchise they love and to find the deep nested things in it. So definitely finding an iceberg online, researching it out. And I don't think you necessarily have to make your own iceberg to follow that trend. I mean, as far as I know, the original Mario 64 iceberg wasn't made by the person who made that video. I think that's the case because I almost remember there being a case in the Mario 64 iceberg where they, the person who made the YouTube video says they weren't really sure what the intro was about. And that is also a difficulty with making icebergs, is that if you don't make the list yourself, you will inevitably run into things, miscommunications of sorts, where you're not entirely sure what the person's talking about because they have to cram a very complex aspect or a bit of lore into 2 or 3 words. And that's really hard to do and still communicate effectively. So I think it's inevitable in that kind of video that there will be a bit of miscommunication or a bit of just kind of miss things. So.
Ah, I see.
So it did gain quite a large viewership. And what was sort of the sentiment in the comment section? How was it received?
Oh my goodness, this is a while ago. So, but from what I remember, it was like, it was nice. It was nice seeing all the people coming in and just being like, dang, I learned something new. And like wanting more of that Touhou content on YouTube. So it was pretty. I can say that. I think there was one person who was like, hey, maybe it wasn't the best idea to use that iceberg because it was full of like lots of joke entries, and I was like, looking back, yeah, I can kind of see, but at the time, like, I just picked one. I just picked one. Just go.
Yeah, and I really think it depends on what kind of tone you're going for, because I think some of the joke entries can work if you want to go for a bit lighthearted, more comedic video, which I definitely think your iceberg goes for. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which is kind of nice. A lot of icebergs, mine included, take themselves way too seriously. So having a more lighthearted one is good. I think it really contributes to the ecosystem of YouTube to have some icebergs that are super serious, super lore heavy, sometimes even kind of creepy, and then others that are just having a fun time. Like, I think both of those complement each other really well. And that's why, like, I think when I was looking at Touhou icebergs, which ones to use for the video, I think I found like 4 different ones that were all very different in tone. Some having some jokes, some having no jokes, some being super weird, some kind of just being more lore focused. And even up on YouTube now, I think there are a couple of Touhou Iceberg videos now that all range differently in sort of their tones and what they're going for, because they all have different intents as a video. Because every video is intended to be enjoyed in a different way, especially every video by every different creator. So I think it's best if you make something like an iceberg video, or if you follow a trend, to make sure you're following the trend in a way that suits your style as a creator. So I think you definitely did that, because your videos are definitely not super serious or super lore crunchy. They're just kind of fun and enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of iceberg fit your style a lot better.
Now that I think about it, yeah, it makes sense. Because, like, I mean, compared to the stuff you make, it's like, really freaking serious. And, talk about all this deep Buddhist lore and like,
Definitely.
I don't know what else you talked in your iceberg, but it was deep. But I mean, for the stuff I make, it's just like, what's something funny, and just like, okay, it works.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so important for YouTube creators to play to their strengths instead of playing to their audience. Because trust me when I say that, I've gotten plenty of comments of people saying, I think your video would be better this way, or you should have talked about this instead, or you should have done it this way. And it's like, yeah, but I'm not good at doing that. It's really important to make the kind of videos that you are good at making and you like to make. And naturally, you will be good at making the things that you like to make, better than making the things you don't care about. All right, so after the Iceberg video, quite a bit of time would pass before your next big Touhou video, which would be the Lore of Touhou Part 1. In this video, you talk about the plot of several major Touhou games. What gave you the idea to work on this type of video?
Oh my goodness, we are talking about this one. Oh no. So,
I was hoping so.
okay, so, oh, when did I make this? Like, back last November? Or it was back like last year. So, a good amount of time has passed, yes. So, I mean, as you know, I was taking this whole YouTuber thing seriously, but at the time, I was trying to be one of those Minecraft channels, like posting just random clips of me and my friends goofing off in the realm. And I miss those days, man. But I decided that, you know what? Let's try this Touhou thing again. And I wanted to do something that, I mean, why not? Just the whole why not vibe. So I was like, oh yeah, the lore of Touhou, you know, why not? So my idea was to talk about the stories of Touhou from the sixth Touhou, from Touhou 6 to wherever I stopped. I don't remember. And looking back on that video, it was just no. Even for my really low standards nowadays, I would not make that because, oh my goodness. You know what's funny? So when I was making the script, I would just like find the wiki summary and just like paraphrase it. That's it. And just like put some jokes in it, just the ha 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 ha. Oh no. And what came next is shocking. It actually did somehow it actually did well. And I was like, really? That worked. It worked. And at the time, I was like, dang, it did nice. And oh, what do I remember? So I released it sometime last November, last December, and it gained a bit of attention. And into the future, I would just make the entire lore series of like literally everything else in the Touhou series, like Part 2, the PC98 series, the freaking fighting games for some reason, and they worked. I mean, they worked as like good summaries, I guess. But I mean, they were fun. They were fun to make of just like me reading a script or me reading a script and just being myself, being funny, just like I don't know what else to add. Just like they were lazy, yeah, but at the same time, you know, they were fun to make. You know, I actually get to learn a bit about Touhou. I mean, it's not in depth. Of course, it wouldn't be because it's a wiki summary. But I mean, it gets the general idea. And no, I didn't play any of the games to get the story.
I mean, the dirty secret is that many Touhou fans get most of their information of the series through reading the wiki.
That's
I
true.
wouldn't recommend it as the main way of getting information. I think if you really want to learn the plot of the games, the best way would be to play it. But the second best way, maybe, would be to go on the Touhou Patch Installer website. And there you can actually just read the translations of all the games. You can just read the in-game dialogue. And it's great because you can compare routes. You can compare a lot of different things. And it's exactly the text you would read as if you were playing the game anyway. Another option, because I think there's still a little bit of nuance that you miss from the story if you just read the text. Though it is a really good option for quick reference. Another good way to do it is to purchase the games on Steam and get the Touhou patch installer and install the cutscenes only mod, because that will essentially allow you to just read through the cutscenes and watch the characters talk and not have to play any of the game. Like, I'm sure there's going to be like some elitists that are like, oh, you're not doing it right. How dare you? It's like, oh, get over yourself, you know? Oh, get over yourself. People love all different kinds of things about the Touhou series. And I think making the story of Touhou more accessible that way is great. Because, yeah, the wiki is not necessarily the best place to get your opinions from. It's a great place for quick reference. If you're thinking, hey, I remember this specific detail about Touhou, but I don't remember why. If you check the Touhou wiki, you'll probably find the link to where that detail is from, and then you can go check it. It's also got really great translations of a lot of the print works, so it's great for reference materials like that. But the summaries themselves, as written by the Touhou wiki editors, are passable sometimes. So, yeah. And I mean, I always get into interesting conversations with people like this, the people that want to like be super debatey over Touhou lore. And I'm like, okay, well, did you play the games? And they're like, no, I just read the wiki. It's like, well, then I'm like, I get if that's the way you want to ingest the story, that's fine. But I don't get people that want to be super argumentative and super, oh, I'm definitely right because I read the wiki, you know? Mm-hmm. If you read the wiki, just be honest and say, yeah, I just read the wiki. I think honesty is important in that way. So it's fine if that's what you want to do it. A lot of people do it that way. But honesty is a good thing.
I see.
But yeah, no, I definitely think there's been, in the last couple of years, a really sudden realized desire for YouTube videos about the lore of Touhou. I think that desire was always there. People have always really been interested in that lore and the story. But I think in the last few years, people have just kind of fully realized it and been like, wow, there is just this empty void in this part of the Touhou community on YouTube. And I think it was mostly realized because of a lot of Megapig's videos of that style. I think once he started making a lot of lore videos, a lot of people realized that and started being like, wait, why aren't there more videos like this? So a lot of people kind of jumped on and started making their own takes on it. I made my Touhou Bites series, which is super fast, it's super snappy, it's dry, it's comedic. It's definitely not taking itself super seriously, but still trying to get some accurate information out there. You've got your lore series, which is pretty relaxed. It's kind of just moseying through the story, having a fun time. It's almost more just like, hey, it's you and a buddy at a pub, and he's had a few too many beers, and he's trying to explain Touhou to you. That's definitely the vibe that I get from it, which is, it's a fun way to do it, that not really anyone else that I've seen is doing it. And again, like I said, it goes back to playing to your strengths and weaknesses. So I think naturally in the ecosystem of Touhou YouTube videos, and especially Touhou lore videos, everyone will kind of make their own style. You get creators like Megapig, which are very analytical and more like essays. You get more kind of dry opinion-based analyses by like users like I guess like Crystal Chris and 4Hash. Both are making lore videos that try their best to be extremely accurate. And that's also really important because like I admitted, a lot of my Touhou lore videos aren't exactly the most accurate because they do sacrifice some lore accuracy to be more entertaining. That's just my personal style. But I think it's also important for people that want to see the most accurate thing to have videos to watch. Because I get these people in my comments saying like, oh, you didn't make this as accurate. Like you need to stop embellishing and just make it more accurate. And it's like, that's not really the kind of video I want to make. So, you know, this is where I would always encourage the comments. If you don't like the kind of videos you're watching, go make those videos. Like, if, like, as a viewer, it's really important, instead of trying to make other people make the videos you want, if nobody's making them, you can make them yourself. And you can make them well. And you can make them exactly the kind of video you want to make. It's really not too difficult. So I think it's important that everyone, instead of doing what the comments want them to do what they enjoy doing and let the comments sort themselves out, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so earlier this year, you followed up on the lore video with a part 2, which goes over the plot of some of the more recent games. In what ways has your style of video changed between the two videos?
Oh dear. Not really much, to be honest. I mean, it's just kind of the same thing. So, like, and to be fair, I honestly don't remember how the video went. So it's like, it's a little hard to comment. But I, what do I remember? I I don't remember much. I have to be honest, but it's like I saw the demand that I got from the first video, and I was like, yeah, I should do a sequel. Why not?
Definitely, yeah. If you enjoyed making the first one, I think definitely finding out there's an audience and capitalizing it with a part two is really great. I mean, I've a lot of people have encouraged me to make a iceberg part two or an iceberg follow up to talk about the things I got wrong. I don't think I probably will. I don't have any plans to anyway, but I could see it definitely. I would enjoy making it, and there would be a massive audience for it because people would watch part one and immediately be recommended part two. So it's making part one and part two videos are really great for the algorithm because it will just make people go right from one to another. So,
Interesting.
all right. So one of the more popular videos that you've uploaded is one titled A Critique of Lost Word. Tell us some of your opinions on this game, and what about the game in particular made you decide to work on this video?
Oh, we're jumping to that. Okay. So, Lost Word, I mean, you know it, everyone knows it, and everyone has an opinion on it. So, it's like you have the Lost Word simps that are like, "Oh, this is a nice game." And then you have the people on Touhou Twitter that absolutely tear the game apart like it just I don't know, like ate their baby or something. I don't know, something nasty. And I was like, I'm not a simp. I am not Toho Twitter. So, I mean, I have more nuanced opinions on the game. So I felt like it deserved to exist. I felt like, you know what? I had to get my opinion out there that, Lost Word, yeah, it's kind of controversial, but one thing I do respect the game and the developers is that it takes risks. I mean, because in game there are a lot of what are they called? I mean, the units are in game called Ultra Festivals, but I don't know their technical names. Like, you have likely seen the Dark Swordmaster Yalmu with the black hair and all that in the Witch of Scarlet Dreams Marisa, who is like
Right,
Red
right.
Marisa. They just call her Alt Marisa, but little fun fact, I think she's actually based off an old Zun art. So
Okay.
that's really fun. And then you got like I like to call them the mecha designs, which are like the Lunar War characters, and just like, oh, all these characters everywhere. And like a cynic would say that, oh, it's to make money, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, the optimist would say, well, I mean, it's a new take. Everyone on DeviantArt does it. Make their own OCs and interpretation. So why not Lost Word? And it also comes to the story. And I have to be completely honest. I don't really care about it. I just skip through it. So, I mean,
I think most people do.
yeah, like I just skip through the stories of most of the games because it's like I'm not I'm not a reader. I don't like read the text on screen in any games. I'm just like, I paid for the game. Give me the gameplay. And
Fair.
so in my video about it, I had a bit of trouble trying to comprehend the story and the lore because I had to look for a summary online, which unfortunately I could not. So I kind of had to summarize. And I guess there was one person who was not happy about it. I don't remember. And what do I remember? Then there was the gameplay. Right now, in like this moment, I think the gameplay it's all right. It's more of a time waster thing because in game, I am so far into it that I don't even have to think about it. I just press buttons and it works. But in the beginner, like in the beginning stages, like it's a bit of a strategy. It's a bit of a strategy based game, like it advertises. But when you get to a high level, you have to farm for things like story cards and money, and I think like resources. And you see a whole community of people making farming videos, just like, oh, how do you farm the Witch of Scarlet Dreams or that one Okina card? And it's wild. And a little bit of a side note, but I remember seeing the Lost Word server clowning me because I used a wrong, or a not wrong, but a really inefficient setup to farm the Witch of Scarlet Dreams, which was using Yucca, medicine, and I think the embodiment of Scarlet Devil version of Reimu. And I mean, it works. Like, in my opinion, it's not efficient. Like, yeah, it isn't. But it was the first farm I found online. And I mean, it works. It's expensive, but it works. But thankfully, later on, I learned and realized that, hey, I could just use Iku, and she does it in 2 turns, and it is much less cheaper. So that's nice. And what comes next? I think the only other thing I can add is the live action segments, as I call it. Like, I wanted to experiment with that. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. Why not? I just go run to my room, play Lost Word, get disappointed, and get my sandwich. And that was a nice piece of bread, though. And the reception. Ooh. I mean, now thinking about it, I still agree with most of my points in the video. Like, okay, maybe I should have done a bit more research on the lore, but I mean, hey, research isn't exactly my thing, you know? And of course, that's a joke because like I should do more research, but dang, like, I mean, aside from the people clowning on me because of my farm setup, I think they liked it. Like, I think they liked it, yeah. But yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and I think on the point of researching videos more, I think naturally it's like with any other project, there is project limits that you have to set on yourself in order to continue making content, to make it regularly and to make it to be what you want it to be. Like, for instance, a lot of my bigger videos are much more researched than my small Touhou Bites. My Touhou Bites videos, I write the script in like a day. I just really quickly scrape information from mostly Perfect Memento and Strict Sense. That's where like 90% of my info comes from. I quickly scrape from that. I checked the wiki for other sources where I could get stuff from. It's very quick because those videos I'm not super concerned with accuracy, but with other videos, my longer videos especially, there's a considerable amount of effort that goes into research, and that takes a really, really long time. So I think setting realistic limits for yourself on how much you can research is good, because naturally you will miss some things. That's inevitable. You can't make the perfect video that gets everything right. That kind of video doesn't exist. So you have to find a balance where you feel like you've got enough things right to where you think the video did well and accomplished its goals. If you don't research enough, it may fail its goal in being entertaining and educational. But if you research too much, it may fail its goal of being entertaining because it may be too wordy, it may be too lengthy, it might have a lot of research that didn't really need to be in the video. Or at worst, it might fail to be a YouTube video because you might never finish it. I've seen people who have been hyping up YouTube videos that they're like, oh, this is going to be the definitive this thing review, or this is going to be the definitive version of this kind of video. And then they work on it for years. And it's like, is it ever going to come out? If it does, is it really going to matter? Because so much has changed since then. You really have to set realistic goals. So I think researching more never hurts, but I think researching too much can hurt. So you definitely want to find a balance for the kind of video you want to make.
That makes sense. And with your point of the whole, oh, do too little research or do too much, it's like, yeah, you're right. Because I mean, I never experienced I have done too much research moments, but I have experienced moments and yeah, I've experienced moments of doing way too little research as we may talk about that shortly. I don't know if we'll get to it, but let's just say I got a story to tell you there.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's kind of funny though that you mentioned getting clowned on by people for, of all things to criticize in your video, having an inefficient farm setup. That sounds like a very small detail to make fun of, but I mean that's just how some people are. I mean, these are people that play farming gotcha games as a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like I know these people. I'm not just making fun or stereotyping here. I know these kinds of people. I've got a friend who I have been in a Discord call with him while he is playing not even really playing. He is idling 4 different gotcha games in 4 different windows on his computer. I'm like, what? Like, he idles 4 different gotcha games while he plays League of Legends. It's like, why do you have these games? You're not playing them. Like, I don't understand the appeal of like idle, like idling kind of farming gotcha games. I just don't get it. I want to play a game. I don't know. I guess like I think like games like Fire Emblem Heroes are pretty fun when they start out because it kind of just feels like Fire Emblem Light, you know, a less brain intensive version of Fire Emblem. But then you get to later levels, you just click auto to get all your resources every day, and it's like I'm not playing a game here. This feels like work. And it's the same way I couldn't get into Fate Grand Order. I couldn't get into like Cookie Run or any of those others. The only gotcha game I played a lot of was Skullgirls Mobile. That game fucking slaps. But I mean, that's not really an idler game. Like, it's more just kind of like a light pocket fighting game. So, yeah, I think it's really funny that of all things to criticize your video, people had to say things about your farming setup not being super efficient. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe if that's the worst that people had to say about your video, maybe it wasn't too bad.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
All right. So, do you have any new YouTube videos in the works right now? Anything you could talk about?
You know what? Yeah. So, I mean, for me, most of my videos are just ideas because how I make them is like I come up with an idea on one day. I do 1 or 2 days to make the script and voice record on the day I make the script or finish it, and usually just it goes from there since I like to separate the whole work cycle in the days so I don't burn myself out. It's nice. So I don't really look too far into the future, and I don't really check my scripts over. So, but there is one thing I am working on right now, and it is taking forever, man. And it is the world record progression of Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom. So, have you watched my previous video on the world record progression of Embodiment of Scarlet Devil? Have you?
I did not get a chance to watch that one yet.
Good. It is awful. So for some context, I made that video because I was thinking, you know what? You know, why not? A Summoning Salt style video on Touhou game? That's like a dream. And after seeing Osprey's video on Perfect Cherry Blossom, it was possible. So I asked my community at the time, hey, what game should I focus on? And they picked Embodiment of Scarlet Devil. And
of course,
that was back in May of this year, and it took me a while to make it, mostly because I just held it off for a while for some reason. And later on, I decided, you know what? I'll make it for the 20th anniversary of Touhou 6, because, it's around the corner. Why not? And that was until I realized that, oh, dang, I'm kind of on a schedule. This sucks. And So I just had to, do my research quickly and just like somehow just push it out. And I will have to kind of admit, I did like how I made the video, but the main problem was the research. And holy crap, I got the research wrong, like a lot. But I mean, for example, I missed a thing called corner bombing because if I'm remembering correctly, in high level play, you would corner bomb because okay, so you would corner bomb so you can get star items, which contribute a lot to the score. And that's one of the main example that I missed off or just missed. And I put way too much emphasis on the whole grazing system, which yeah, it adds to score, but not really a lot in comparison to star points. And then when you see in Touhou 6 run, you would just see like all these crazy strategies that I, for some reason, did not cover. And probably the worst one of them all was Marisa B. She's not the world record holder, it's Reimu B. And yeah, it's weird, man. And I remember the reception of like the score running community rightfully calling me out. And dang, that was wild. And I assume eh, I assume they didn't really like the video, which in all fairness, like yeah, looking back, I hate it. It's my worst mistake. But now what I'm trying to do is make the Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom version. And in a stroke of luck, there is this guy in the community called Maribel Hearn who you might know him for having the Maribel Hearn website, which has like scores and just a lot of wild stuff, like some mods and stuff. And he DM'd me on Twitter saying, "Hey, your video was a mess, but it was a good attempt." Which, nice words. But so what came next was, I told him, "Hey, I want to do another one, and this time right." And I told him about various games and, which ones I should do or how I should approach it. And I think he was like, yeah, just you have to get it more accurate. And I told him, the various games that I would like to cover, like, the PC98 games, like kind of boring, but then like 10 Desires, like score running behind that is insane. And Shoot the Bullets, like I would love to cover that before the end of the year, but that one is strange to cover since like there are I think 80 something records for the game, so I have no idea how I would even confront that monster, but
Wow.
off topic. And I decided, hey, Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom, how will I do that? And he was like, you know what? Go to this guy. His name is RB. He will help you. And I was like, hmm. And then RB and I, we connected. And then some other guy named Rebot Ova, cool guy. And for the past 2 months now, we've been making this script, and it is taking forever, man. But yeah, I mean,
I can imagine.
I was thinking that I could make this before my birthday in September, but then I pushed it back like, hey, make it for Halloween. I have to push it back, and then thinking, hey, I can make it before Thanksgiving, and it appears I have to push it back again to whenever the hell. But we are getting close to completion, thankfully. Like most of the hard stuff I think is done. Like
yeah, I'm definitely excited to see it since it seems like you've definitely been able to get some really good help from other members of the community. And I think that's really important because I think a lot of people on YouTube, especially, there's a really big problem on YouTube, will see a video that maybe doesn't match up to their standards, and all of a sudden they think they're, Roger Ebert, the film critic, all of a sudden. And they just want to leave complaints about everything. But it's so much more rare to see someone reach out and be like, hey, I can help you improve your video. here's how. I know this person, I have these resources. That's a lot more rare, but it is so much more helpful. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to call out YouTube comments and say YouTube comment criticism is terrible. It doesn't help people improve. It's rude. It's unnecessary. What does help people improve is reaching out and saying, hey, I have the resources to help you improve.
Yeah.
Because if you just leave a comment, quote unquote, criticizing a YouTuber, like they're going to read that and think, okay, but why should I listen to your advice? Like, who are you? What do you know that I don't? And I think that's why, I'm going to say it. I think YouTubers should not take criticism from YouTube comments. That might be a hot take, but there are so many comments that you will get from so many people that you have no idea what their credentials are. You don't know what skills they have, what knowledge they have, why you should listen to them in the first place. So I think unless they reach out to you on a platform where you can see their credentials and they can talk about the knowledge they have, or they're a respected member of the community, you really just shouldn't listen to their criticism unless, like I said, they have that information or they are a respected member of the community. Because I have taken a lot of advice from respected members of the Touhou community, especially other people that make YouTube videos, and I will listen to their advice and I will exchange ideas with them, especially other people that do Touhou YouTube videos. I love exchanging ideas with them. But I don't really just take advice from YouTube comments because I don't know if their advice is good, especially if they don't make their own content, So that's my hot take of the day is don't take criticism from YouTube comments. Most of them don't know what they're talking about. Some of them do. Some of them genuinely have good criticism, but it's almost impossible to tell the good criticism from the bad criticism when you're trying to improve yourself. You have to know, like, if you're trying to improve and you don't know how to improve, then you're not going to know what's good criticism and bad criticism. You're only going to know that once you have improved and you know what's correct and what isn't. So, all right. So I'm sure the audience is just dying to know from your username, but do you have a favorite Touhou character? And if so, what makes this character stand out to you from the rest of the cast?
Damn it! So, as you know, Suwawako, yeah, I love Moria. How exciting. So, the reason why I like her so much is, let's just get down to business. So, I got into Touhou in 2017, and during that time, like, I was just learning about the whole series, just like everything. Eventually, over time, like, it's shifted. Like, it went from, I think, Flandra to Surno to Denshi to whoever else, but like, so when I got Instagram a while ago, I decided, let's just choose one person to represent me. Like, make a Touhou Instagram account because why not? And I found out about Suwawako Moria a while ago, and you know what? I don't know what made me connect with her, but I connected with her, and over the years, like, I don't know why she connects with me. I honestly don't, but and she just connects with me. Like, it's one of those things where you just kind of know, but you kind of don't. It's weird, but I remember making one of those Touhou sorter lists and, finding out my favorites, and like, from what I remember, like, the Moria crew were on it. Like, Sanai, Kanako, like, I absolutely loved them, honestly, because, like, second or third place favorites. And for a while, I used to not like Sanai, because, like, who the hell is she? Like, her theme is boring. But ironically, after Lost Word, I kind of grown an appreciation for her. And with Kanako, like, I just love her themes. Her stage and boss theme are actual, like, top 25 best in the entire franchise, hands down.
For sure. All right, so I think we have just a little bit of time left to go over a few community questions we have from our very own Hifuu community. So Crystal Chris asks, how do you come up with video ideas and how do you edit them?
Oh, so coming up with video ideas, I just think of something stupid. Like, I mean, it's not stupid, but I like to say it's stupid. Like, for example, this time around, I want to do something about Touhou glitches, or maybe next week about oh, Touhou, the prototype of Perfect Cherry Blossom, or maybe next week something Lennon. I don't care. I just want to do something. And it's the idea thing is just like, just think of something. Like, just how I think about it is just think of something that you like and just keep going down the rabbit hole. Like say for example, you're on Wikipedia and you're on like, oh, Super Mario, like the wiki page for it. And then you go down the rabbit hole of, oh, who's Mario? Oh, there's Mario. You go down the rabbit hole. Oh, Mario has his own movie? Ooh, that's interesting. And then you find out Mario's played by Chris Pratt. Oh, who's that guy? Oh, he was that guy from like the Marvel movie. Oh, that's cool. And it just keeps going and going and going. And like, it's wild. You like ideas, it's a hard thing, but I mean, you just have to find something that you really like.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, so I think that does take up all the time that we have for this episode, but before we take it out, would you like to tell the audience where they can find your content?
Oh boy. If you want to find Poppy Suwawa, go to my YouTube, Suwawako, I post things there sometimes. My Twitter, I mean, you can go there, I guess, if you want to see me melt down. Or maybe my Discord server if you really feel inclined. Like the Suwa Taisha, it exists. It's there. I talk in it sometimes. I sometimes break down and cry, but yeah, you can join there.
All right, I'll link to all that in the video description. So thanks for joining me tonight. It's been a great honor to have you on. Reminder for the audience, we will be back on the 1st of December with our new featured creator, our final featured creator. So until then, please wait warmly. The intro to the Hifuu Community Club is Aquasphere by Mondorium. There's a link to their official YouTube channel in the video description. And always remember to please, please, please treat the artists in the Touhou community with respect. They do so much for us, so remember to credit art and music, and remember that you can always support artists through commissions, prints, views, shares, and album downloads. So thank you for tuning into the Hifuu Community Club, and all have a pleasant evening.